Hey everyone, it's Professor Clark, and welcome to our lecture on more prefixed verbs of motion. This time we're going to go over some prefixes that are not quite as common as the ones that we saw last time, but are still pretty commonly used and can be very useful. The first prefix we're going to look at is the prefix za, and za can be used with both regular verbs and verbs of motion. And when it is used with verbs of motion specifically, it means making a detour or going a little bit out of your way to do something. And there are two ways you can use it. One is if you have za plus k plus the dative, and that means that you drop by or make a short visit to someone. For example, Я заходила к Даше сегодня. I dropped by Dasha's today. So you made a short side trip on your way somewhere else and you dropped by to see Dasha. You can also use za plus the preposition za plus the instrumental to indicate picking someone or something up. For instance, Я заеду за тобой после работы. I'll pick you up after work. So those are two similar but slightly different meanings of the prefix za. One is with ka plus dative to make a short visit somewhere, and one is za plus instrumental to pick something or someone up. Another really useful prefix is perе. And with verbs of motion, perre indicates transfer or moving across or over something. And it can be used in a number of contexts, both literal and metaphorical. And one of the ways that it's used very commonly is if you use perre plus va or na in the accusative, and it means transferring to another place, frequently moving house or changing jobs. If you use переехать, переезжать, переехать, that frequently means to move to a new town or a new house. So, мы переехали в Москву means we moved to Moscow. Maybe we used to live in St. Petersburg, but now we live in Moscow. Мы переехали в Москву. Or, Жанна переехала во Владимир. Жанна moved to Vladimir. With перейти, you can use that to mean to change jobs. For instance, Я хочу перейти на другую работу. I want to change jobs. Another meaning of the word пере is to cross something, and you can use it with or without через, and then it's the accusative of whatever you cross. For example, надо перейти через улицу. You need to cross the street. Or the final line from the poem Hamlet by Boris Pasternak at the end of Dr. Zhivago, Жизнь прожить не поле перейти, which means something like living a life isn't crossing a field. So now you know a famous line of poetry. You can also use пере for some sort of metaphorical things, like перевести is to translate. For example, надо это перевести с русского на английский. You need to translate this from Russian to English. And you're literally leading across when you translate перевести. So that is the prefix пере. A prefix that has a very specific and normally physical or literal meaning is pod. And when we use the prefix pod plus the preposition ka plus the dative, that means to approach or come up to something. For example, ко мне подошел незнакомый человек и спросил, как дойти до центра города пешком. A strange person, or someone I don't know, came up to me and asked how to get downtown on foot. Or another example, мы подъехали к гаражу и остановились. We drove up to the garage and stopped. We did not enter the garage, we drove up to the outside of it. Or, мальчик подбежал ко мне и спросил, как меня зовут. A boy ran up to me and asked what my name was. So in all of these examples, pod indicates coming up to something, or approaching something, or coming up to something but not going inside of it. You're just approaching the exterior of it and stopping before you cross its boundaries. The opposite of pod is от. And we use the prefix åt plus the preposition åt plus the genitive, meaning to move away from something or someone. And it doesn't mean to depart like it means to step back from a little bit. So just as pod is to approach or come up to something but not cross its exterior boundaries, åt is when you start outside of something's exterior boundaries and you step away or move away from them. For example, она вдруг отошла от меня. She suddenly stepped back from me. Or мы отъехали от гаража. We pulled back from or drove a little ways away from the garage. In both cases, you started off outside the exterior of the thing and then moved slightly away from it. Another meaning of the prefix åt is to give someone a lift from one place to another, or to drop someone or something off somewhere. For example, я отвезла дочку в школу means I drove my daughter to school or I dropped my daughter off at school. So there you have those prefixes. I hope you found that helpful. If you're feeling prefix overwhelmed, don't worry. Just remember to take it really slow and work on them one piece at a time.